Hello, Skallagrim. I saw your video the other day about the critical hits within real life and how realistic they are, and I had a couple of points to add. I liked the video, but just a couple of things I wanted to mention. You mentioned two different game mechanics in which a critical hit system might exist. The first of which consisted of using a powerful move or some extra effort to get that critical hit. And with that system, I completely agree with you. During a fight, you probably would be giving it your 100% so you can stay alive and come out on top. You don't really have the whole extra powerful attack or something without putting in magic or something else similar to that. The second system you mentioned was a random chance critical hit system. And you didn't think this was very realistic due to the fact that a master swordsman could probably hit whatever they're aiming at with their sword anyway. And again, I completely agree. However, there are small things in which chance plays a big role. For example, an expert swordsman might be able to hit a point in the body that is more lethal than another by aiming. However, whether he nicks the artery, which causes his opponent to bleed out faster, or if he misses it by a couple of millimeters, is mostly chance. It's hard to control that, especially in a combat scenario. Something else on a little bit bigger level would be if he takes a cut at somebody's chest. Does that cut hit multiple ribs, causing it to not cut quite as deeply? While I'm aware it's relatively easy to cut through ribs, it is a little bit harder material than just soft tissue or muscle. So that might affect how deep his cut goes. Or does this cut happen to come in at just the right angle and it just barely misses that rib sliding deeper? Some of that might be chance. So you might have some amount of a random chance to do extra unintended damage to your opponent. However, there really is a third critical hit system which you didn't mention, and that was systems in which a specific body part, when hit, gives you a critical hit automatically. Games like Division, which it doesn't consider headshots critical hits, but it does reward you with extra damage. Or like Borderlands 2 uses critical hits with headshots, and they're always a critical hit. But for the sake of the argument, we need to really decide what we define as a critical hit. For example, if a master swordsman were to aim at the inside of somebody's leg with the intent of hitting the artery that sits there, and they do, is that a critical hit? Because it was intended. So does that make it a critical hit or not? However, if he aims at the inside leg simply because that's the most exposed part of his opponent and happens to get the artery as well, would that be a critical hit? So we get into a little bit of definition of what's a critical hit and what's not. However, as far as a game is concerned, whether it be a video game or a tabletop game, I think we could create a really unique system that I've never seen before and combine the last two critical hit systems, both being random and location based. With most games that have a random critical hit chance and allow you to adjust your statistics for your chance and damage for the critical hit, I tend to put my points, or whatever it might be, into critical chance, because if I can do a ton of damage on a critical hit, it doesn't matter to me as much if I can't ever perform that critical hit. So I rather put my points into chance so I have more of a chance of getting that critical hit, even if when I do it's slightly less damage. That's not to say I won't put any into critical hit damage, but most of my points, or whatever might be within the game, would go into critical hit chance. However, if you combine these two systems within your video game or tabletop game, I think you get a really unique critical hit system. And that would be certain parts, like the head, would be considered a critical hit. And if you hit them in the head, it is a critical hit 100% of the time. However, other parts of the body, such as the inside of the thigh, will give you only a chance for a critical hit due to the artery there or some other vital organ in whatever area of the body. So when you hit those parts, you now have a chance determined by your character's statistic to get a critical hit, but it's not guaranteed. And again, other parts of the body, like the arm, the elbow, the knee or something, might not grant any chance for a critical hit. So you really have to play it by skill by choosing the parts of the body you want to hit, whether it be the head for an instant and guaranteed critical hit, the inside of the leg for a chance at a critical hit, or maybe an arm or hand for a hit that's no chance of a critical hit. I think this would create a really unique game mechanic, because now you want to put points into critical chance, so when you hit the inside of the leg and maybe other parts of the body, you have a greater chance of getting that critical hit. However, you also now really want to put points into critical hit damage, so that when you hit those certain points of the body that guarantee a critical hit, such as the head, you're going to get quite a bit of damage. So as a game mechanic, I think it'd be a lot more interesting and a lot more creative. And it would also be somewhat more realistic, as you said, because a hit in the head is critical, it is devastating. But other parts of the body, such as the inside of the leg, can also be extremely devastating if you hit the exact right point. So it's a little more difficult and you get a little bit more realism. Anyway, these are my thoughts, just something I wanted to add to your video. Thanks for watching.